All right, everybody, welcome to the Ridgeline Hunting podcast. And I am your host, David Crane, and I'm with our host, David Sandana.
Back in the house.
Yep, we're in the kill corner.
Yeah, got a new location here. This is at Dave's place. Dave has actually took the liberty of reutilizing our backdrops from the Sportsman Show, since next year we're going to have a new backdrop. We're going to invest a little bit more into that and make it a little more fancy.
Yeah. I have some ideas that we're both going to throw around and just try to figure out. But yeah, we'll definitely be back at the show again next year. And yeah, man, but Dave, we've been missing out on you, man. It's been a while. So what's been happening? Well, how was your 2024 after the last time we talked? Because
let me start from the beginning. No.
Well, the last time everybody saw you on, besides, there was a couple hunts that we filmed together, but other than that, man, last season, it was turkey season last time we talked, and now we're coming back into turkey season. So what's been going on?
It's funny you'd ask, because it doesn't seem like that long to me, and how everything kind of transpires is, we have our professional lives and we do this. Yep. We're trying to make this something, and basically almost 2 years ago, it'll be 2 years in May, which is hard to believe, I purchased a business and been focusing on that a lot, pretty heavily, pretty much every day. I mean, between one business and a construction company, it's been a lot. And then, with the kids and stuff, it's, they have 2 kids in dance, they have different schedules, and my schedule and the work schedules, it's really hard to make everything mesh. Yeah. I'm at the point now where I will begin to have more free time, because this is really done in our free time. It's something we really enjoy to do. Dave has a little more availability. We have way more availability.
No, I totally do. I have a regular 9-to-5 job. I actually work from home. I got it pretty easy. And my hours are very predictable, which Sandana's are not. Anything can happen. Anything can go wrong.
Well, usually everything that can happen does happen in construction.
It's one of those things when you're in that profession. I mean, not only does he do construction for his main job, but you purchased a store where you own that as well, and there's all those things that go with that. And anybody that's been listening for the past while knows, and I've been keeping everybody updated. I mean, your house flooded, there's a lot of stuff that has happened in this past year.
It has been heavy.
But, I don't know, man, we had a good hunting season. I mean,
every time something happens, I always look at the other side. So beginning with the purchase of the business, it's always rough starting something new. Then you throw in a house flood and all the other variable things. And I don't like to complain a lot, because I have very little to complain about. It just takes a lot of effort and time, and it is what it is. But every time you start some sort of adversity, you look at the outcome potential, and usually it comes out pretty good on the other side. I haven't experienced something in life where I've been at a loss in the end if I put forth the effort. This is one of those things where we feel we're coming out the other side right now. The Sportsman Show this year was incredible. We had an overwhelming support from people that have watched either the podcast, subscribed on Instagram or Facebook, YouTube as well. We have reached a milestone in the YouTube, and we're looking forward to that this year. We have several things planned. We are brainstorming in the booth at the Sportsman Show. What can we do? So we went out, we made some purchases, and we're going to do some pretty fun comparisons between major marketing or major brands of rifle scopes.
Go ahead and dive into it, man. Let's everybody know what they might look into.
Yeah. So what we have coming up, we're going to do a comparison. We have the Leupold scopes, we have Vortex scopes, and we have the Maven scope.
Yeah. And
so what we did is we started thinking, what is the most common price point people are going to purchase these in, and we thought $300 to $500. That's probably the most commonly purchased scope, and coincidentally, scopes start at $300. So it's by the time you look into one,
if you're not looking to spend a whole, anywhere from $800 to $2,300. I mean, scopes are super, super expensive. So
there's a wide price range in there.
yeah, and we're looking down at the lower end where people can afford them. So what we're trying to do is show that you don't have to have the $1,400 whatever scope and still be able to perform at your rifle's capabilities. So
correct. I mean, there's my credo is that I'm not good enough at any shooting sport to outperform my equipment. It doesn't matter what it is. I can hand I've shot at archery for a long time, and if I shot my bow and then someone like Sean Elza or Bodie Turner grabbed my bow, they would probably outshoot me because I can't perform to the equipment's ability. Same thing with a rifle scope. Now you could spend thousands of dollars. I mean, the top end. I mean, military scopes. If you could get one, I don't know what they would cap out at, but beyond affordability. So we looked at pricing. You know, like what's something that most people looking at buying a rifle and a scope would get. Now we realize there are scopes for $100 and there are scopes for $150 and some for $50. But the reality is something that's going to handle a 300 Win Mag, 270 short mag, any of your Magnum rounds, and still be dialed in at zero. So we settled in that price range, $300 to $500, and that's what we did. We went and we purchased those scopes, and we're going to do a test, and we're going to see and compare and tell you what we see in video, fit and finish, what we like, what we don't like, and just so you have another opinion on what's actually out there. We picked these three brands because coincidentally we've used all three of them. We have Maven binoculars, I have Vortex scopes, I have Leopold scopes. My daughter, which we're going to get into a little later, happened to take a bear this year, which is another reason why I was gone for a little bit. We were on a select rifle hunt, and she ended up taking a bear this year. But she did that behind a Leopold scope, and I had that thing dialed in, and she shot that. And I don't want to get too far, but she freaking nailed that bear, and it was badass. So we look forward to doing the test, bringing you that type of content. Also our archery content, because we're not a single focus entity. We really are involved in the outdoors as a whole. You've seen us talk about fishing, crabbing, squidding, turkey hunting, duck hunting, extensively duck hunting, deer hunting, archery, and rifle, and bear. So it's a lot.
Yeah. So, for 25, our scope is going to be massive. We're trying to just bring everything that we can and what we do to everybody watching and listening. So yeah, it's going to be awesome.
This year is going to be one of those years where I think we're going to turn some pages. We're going to also perk your ears up a little bit, because the things we're going to bring, in concept, they're going to be insightful. They're going to add value to the content, and they're going to hopefully help you make good decisions down the road. Because one thing I know about my money is it's limited, and when I spend it, I want it to be working for me.
So with all that, we need to get you and Sophia together so we can talk about that bear hunt.
Well, it wasn't a bear hunt, but it was a hunt.
It wasn't. It was a.
And the funny thing,
it was another hunt that turned into a bear.
I've heard it said many ways, Dave. And one of them is like, anytime I see coyote during a deer hunt, it becomes a coyote hunt. Same thing when you see a bear during an elk hunt. It's like, game on.
Got to fill the tags.
Not going to complain about that.
Yeah,
it was great.
That was I'm not going to get into it, but it was an awesome experience. Dave and I processed everything, and just to see the smiles on the faces, and it brought tears to my eyes. And dang girl tagged a bear before I did.
We've talked a lot about bears. we have talked an awfully lot about bears.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, all of my past experiences, all my negative, I guess I won't say negative, because they end up being a positive in the end, right? But all my experience with not being able to successfully put the copper jacket on the hide has led to the point where I coached her in the moment, and it 100% went through.
Paid off.
Yeah, and it was like, I wish I had a camera going. I almost pulled out my phone, but I was like, F it, we got to get this thing down. And I guess the surprise to me was, when we had a full sight of this bear, when she pulled the trigger, it dropped flat and its head hit its paws. I mean, it was like doing a photo shoot. I mean, it was down.
And we'll
I'll leave it at that. Yeah.
On the next one.
God, I wish I had that photo video, man. That was, dude, that was something else
in
to
the
see.
moment. So that's one of those things.
It crossed my mind. It was like, get the camera out. I was like, nah, you got to make it happen. I've
this
missed
is
too
the
many
first
times.
time. Yeah, man. So this is the thing about, you know, trying to get content to all of you, and even just for us alone, because check this out, you know, like just to show everybody.
Check out this fish I caught. Like, you know, it's cooler when it's.
Sometimes you just you
got to fill the tag first.
Yeah, it's not necessarily like missing the opportunity, because the opportunity is there. You didn't miss it because you're always going to remember that, right? So that memory is always going to be there. So regardless if it gets on camera, like what we try to do, but we don't have like a dedicated like camera person, because not only were you trying to be there to coach your daughter through a hunt, right? You're trying to make sure that everything goes perfectly. Well, even though in all the chaos, you're trying to make sure everything is right.
I'm trying not to get too far down this road with it, Dave, because I feel like I want to tell the story.
No, but I'm not telling the story.
I feel like I want to tell it, though. You know, I'm not saying you're telling
the story. I'm just saying that like the last thing you think about is, I need to grab the camera. Like,
let me tell you, the second thing I thought about was I need to grab the camera. And I thought about it, and I was like, instantly like, nope, not going to do that, because
what if that split second you missed the opportunity on something?
And the shot that happened was broadside in the wide open, but there was 4 or 5 chances to shoot this bear. They weren't good chances. You would have put a hole in it, but would it have gone down right away? And that's the thing where I was trying to make sure, you know, in all my experience with the bear's moving, intermittently pausing, moving in and out of the brush, you know, we had glimpses of it, and I could tell what I was looking at because I was watching it. She was on the scope, but you know, I don't want to spoil the episode. The thing is, there was a perfect time, and when the time came, she said, "I'm taking the shot," and she pulled the trigger. And she didn't ask me for permission.
Well, we're definitely going to get it from Sophia's perspective, which is going to be fantastic. She's a talker, so it's going to be a good one.
Oh my God.
It's going to be great. I love Sophia, so that's going to be a fun one. But other than that, and now all the chaos with work, how was everything else? I mean, you went out duck hunting. We both had a success. Well, I wouldn't say successful, but we were seeing animals during elk season, which was awesome.
We didn't talk about elk season.
We haven't talked about elk season.
Oh my gosh,
no,
dude.
Man,
it's been nuts.
There's
Jesus,
so like,
man, elk season was awesome.
Mike and I talked about elk season. Yeah. So Dave and Luke hunted together.
Shared camp.
Yeah, they hunted together in their area, and then Mikey P and I, we hunted another area, but we shared camp. So we're going over all the stories of the day, like what's going on and all this. And Dave and Luke were on freaking elk. What was it, day one? I mean,
first day. Yeah, I mean, it was first day. I had a bull end to about 50 something yards, 52, 53 yards. I got on video because it was kind of peeking through the bushes. You know, I was looking down, and we had a calling set up. But for some reason, at the point when the elk came, you know, I heard some sort of rustling sound. Yeah. It wasn't like a stick snap. You know, people say they hear a stick snap, like all of a sudden there was an elk there. That didn't happen this way. I heard some more of a rustling sound, and the bull poked his head over a little knob and looked down. But my buddy was behind me, maybe 100 yards, and it kind of went into like this little dish, and he was kind of on the other side of a little mound. So I don't know why he stopped calling, but that bull was coming in, and when he stopped calling, I wished I had some way to tell him to keep calling, because it just kept looking and did a side-to-side action.
So he just kind of hung up, huh?
He hung up. Well, he hung up because he didn't see anything, you know? Like, I know the elk, you know, when they come over into a territory and they heard some calls coming from there, they're going to come up to where they can see, and then they decide to commit. If they can't see and they, you know, calls are further, they'll move down in there. But he came to where he can see with his eyes, you know, which is about the total height of his neck. That's it.
That's the video that I saw, because Dave was kind of like videoing it at the same time, and you can see this bull just like pop up, and I'm just like, ooh, it was about to happen, and then all of a sudden it just, you know, did its thing.
If that bull would have gone 10 yards to the right, or my right, its left, it would have been open shot.
Open shot.
Yeah, open shot. And it was like, I was so I was like, thinking in my head, please call, please call, please call. And I was like trying to will it to happen. And it just didn't happen. And so that when the bull, he kind of just went along the ridge and then he went back down the hillside. I backed out of there and told my buddy Luke, I said, Luke, come on up here. There's a bull that just came down on me. Show him a quick little video, like, look at this bull right there. You know, I'm freaking all jacked up.
It was a good bull, dude. That was a good bull. It was a good 5x5 or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, he looked like he had pretty freaking massive main beams. Like,
yeah,
it was a shoot.
It was
bull
close,
for sure.
man. I haven't been that close in a minute to like. I was literally one elk call sound away from shooting that thing. And if he would have made one more cow call, I'm sure it would have came over that hill a little bit more, and then I would have had a body shot, and it would have been pretty good. 50 yards, I mean, it would have been pretty easy to put an arrow on there. You know, that was day one. You know, I'll say day 2 through day 10 was all bulls, all bugling everywhere. We had one bull that was very elusive. We kind of triangulated their travel corridor where they were going, and we were so frustrated with this group of elk that we cleared the whole path going in. Like in the middle of the day when we busted them, kind of, I don't know if we busted them, but they left. You know, they had an advantage in that spot. I like to think they hang out where they have advantages or where they feel comfortable. They have better senses than us, and they're in a position where if you have to move to them, generally they will hear you, see you, smell you, or something, right? Mm-hmm. Like they set themselves in this corner where they can see everything coming. You know, they got, like my buddy's dad told me years ago. It's like if you get into a counter with a cougar or a bear, put your back on a tree. You know, encircle the tree with the cougar in front of you. You know, that way you can see it at least if you have no other options, right? Never run, but they can't get you from behind if there's a tree there. You know, so the thought is good, but they can still kill you from the front. So I'm like, okay, I'll put my back on a tree and hopefully I'll be able to kill this thing before it kills me. But that's how the elk do. You know, they get themselves in this position where they feel comfortable, and where they feel comfortable is where they can, where their senses excel. And we got them in a spot where they were definitely had the upper hand multiple days in a row. They kept returning, and so we literally cleared the ground to the dirt. Like we had raked it with our hands to make sure there was not a pine needle. Like, I mean, it was smooth dirt, so we could go in there in the dark. We didn't have to worry about a twig snapping. We cut down limbs and trees and like things that were overhanging our access point, and we literally had a clear path to them. Like we knew they were going to come in here at some point during the day, and we were going to clear that path and get there. And then once we did that, you know, we never saw them again. But I don't know if it was the 2 or 3 days we had an encounter with them before, or the activity of us moving all the stuff around.
Who knows, man? It could have been more or less like you just spreading your scent all around, or they're just like, we got to move out of here. Yeah. I mean, if you're acting like another, you know, set of elk, they could have just been like, yeah, you know what? They can have this spot. We're going to go over here.
Yeah.
You know, could have been one of those things, and that's kind of what happened to Mike and I too, so.
Yeah, we had good opportunities all season. We had an incredible elk season. Didn't put an arrow in one, but we were close, like from the beginning to the end. You know, it was like that. I feel like every single day, the adrenaline and the calling action. I'm not sure what. I mean, other than at one point we had 3 or 4 bulls at the same time. You know, calling back around from. We didn't know if we were going left, right, up, or down. I mean, we were like, this was going to be cheat code. You know, this is cheat code stuff.
You guys were in it, man. We were having the silent bull act.
Yeah, it was wild. We
didn't have hardly anything calling, but you know, that's how it is. And I mean, for me, and I think for even just for us, if you're seeing elk and you're responding to elk and they're responding back, like that's just, you know, the pinnacle of all of it. You know, the cherry on top is when you get to feel that tag. So I mean, if you're seeing elk and you're in the elk, you're doing the right thing, right? It's those seasons that happen where you're not seeing anything, you're not hearing anything, and then it's just like, okay, well, this whole season was a bust. That didn't happen this year. Like, no, we were both groups are in elk. We're trying to get it done. You know, we were right there, and you know, we're one call away from putting an arrow in an elk.
Oh, and yeah, he wasn't looking at me. He was looking beyond where I was at.
Yeah.
There's been Washington State's had like a tough go with elk in the last 15 years. You know, it was really great at one point. It was so good. Then everything happened, and the history of the hoof rot disease and the harvesting of animals in certain times of year, and who knows how all the numbers shake out. But anyway, we had a steep decline in elk populations. And now I feel like it's on its way up. Biologists, you'd have to look at the data, but I feel like from what I'm seeing in the woods and where I go, maybe it's because I've hunted the same place for 25 years or so, that people know, or I have been able to know where I've seen elk and where I haven't seen elk over that time, and then kind of get right to the point of where I've usually seen them even in the low times, and then where I don't really hunt the areas where I saw them during the high times, because I feel like there's just so many you're going to see them.
Yeah.
So I focus more on the areas where you may not think there would be an elk, but historically, and my experience has said in this spot, in this place, there's going to be elk around this area. And so it kind of puts us in there. But I've heard people hunt the same place so they didn't hear or see anything. So really, you're talking about experience in that area, and I guess persistence, if you know.
Well, shoot, the first year that I brought Mike out, you were hunting way in the back on elk every single day. I was hunting the front side where I'd shot my bull.
Yeah.
We didn't see or hear jack. Nothing was going on. So, so some people could say like, oh yeah, I hunted this spot, didn't see anything, but you're on elk.
Yeah.
So, it's all, elk move around.
I think
that's just one of those things.
I think everywhere you hunt, there's going to be a fine line between that seeing animals and not seeing animals, because you're just like literally one knob away from seeing them or not seeing them.
Yep.
If they go over a hill, you're not going to see them. If you happen to be there when they're there, you're going to see them. That's the reality of it. And for a long time, I didn't understand. I'd get up on a hill. Like when I first started elk hunting, we would get up on one hill and spend all day on one hill, and we're calling and calling, moving and calling. And I was like, this is really a waste of time, because we're on this hill all damn day.
Yeah.
Like you really need to move more. Like there's no way, to me as a youngster, like we're going to bring an elk onto this one knob when there's all these knobs, and you're talking like infinity,
Infinity,
so,
exactly.
You have all these options, and you spend all your time in one spot. And I get it if you're, on a ranch somewhere, and like every day I see them down here coming into my pasture, I'm going to wait right here for 14 days in a row, because I know one of these days they're going to come right here.
Come through, yeah.
And the odds shake out, but for us in the wild, where the forest is thick and the trees are tall and you can't see very far, and there's sticker bushes and valleys and creeks and swamps and devil's clubs and poison ivy or whatever, or what was that, stinging nettles. So you're going to kind of have your route determined for you in lots of instances. But I feel like over the years we've developed a style and a way in these areas where we are able to get close to them, to where we can locate them and close that distance. And we were able to do that with you one year, and then another, and that was through a spotting, and then we stalked them, and then you called them and shot them.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we do. Sometimes we blind call, sometimes we spot and call, but it would just depend on each scenario. There's no one way to kill an elk.
Well, yeah, and that's definitely it, because my first cow took 15 minutes of daylight and it was over, so sometimes, and that was probably the one time I would say I got lucky.
Yeah.
Like luck actually fell my way. Usually I create my own luck, but this time it was just like
you were there.
I was
but why were you there
at the right time I had my cameras out, I had stuff set up.
But why'd you have your cameras out?
Well, because I knew had travel corridors and stuff like that. So,
but Luke also had hunted there for a lot of years.
Oh
right?
yeah, Luke was in there, and his dad was in there for years prior to that.
Yeah, so that's what I'm talking about, like
the history of it and everything, and then the preparation into that whole season.
Yeah,
and
you prep for that year, right?
Oh yeah,
but they had experiences there, just like we have experiences where we hunt. Like you rely on your data you gather, so they're like, hey, we should hunt this specific area because we've seen through the last 10 years this much activity. And I've hunted there too, and I'm not like a big fan of that spot, but you tagged out there, but Luke has never tagged out there.
Yeah, it's
always,
now.
but he missed a bull there,
Yeah.
So there's always that thing where you take all this information, you get there, you put your cameras out, you do your scouting, get your spots, right? And Dave shows up, boom,
Yeah, man, it was crazy.
But it's
but
just
every
history
scenario is completely different than the next. Yeah, you're dead on with that one, man.
Yeah, but it wasn't just you picked a spot and went out.
Oh hell no!
No,
this wasn't one of those things where it's like looking at my OnX and I'm like, I'm gonna go right here and this is where this is gonna happen. I only do that when I kind of like pick a backcountry spot, even this year for bear season, you and I got together and I was just like, oh yeah, let's just go right here.
Yeah, we were at a loss. Like, what do we do? You know,
that didn't pan out either. But
that's the beginning of something.
Yeah, yeah. And oh man, it was a great spot. But yeah, so yeah, when that happened, I mean, shoot. Yeah, there was a lot of data behind everything, plus the cameras and the scouting and this and that. And I mean, it just ended up happening. It just...
Because you were in the right place. Like those are the things, the intangible thing is you took all the right steps in the beginning before the season was available, right?
Oh, yeah.
But before that, there was information on, we've seen elk here, we've had shots here, we know they come eventually at some point in time, and they may be doing this big long circle, kind of like the Earth around the sun. Eventually they're going to come across that same spot, right? But it takes a year for that to happen. Well, elk, it's a little less, a little more frequent, right? Timing is quicker.
3, 4, 5 days or something, and then they'll be back around in there. So they kind of, at least for this area, it was a travel corridor. You just had to be at the right place at the right time. Just happened to be opening day for me.
That is the joy and frustration of hunting.
Seriously, it is, man.
Like, I know there's freaking animals here. I got them on my camera. Hunting season opens, they're gone.
Yep, and then they don't come back until, the next season or whatever, because sometimes I let my cameras just stay out just so I can go back, and I'm like looking at the dates and I'm like, dude, I had just left that spot 2 days prior and now it's like a big old 7x7 bull right where I was at.
I know it.
Just
I've seen those
terrible.
photos with you, man. You show me, you're like, look at this. Like, 15 minutes after you leave, you're sitting there all day.
Those
and you're
ones
like,
are heartbreakers.
Yeah.
Those ones suck.
But then you sit there for an hour after, like I stayed till 5 and I'm staying till 6 or whatever it is, and then nothing happens. You're like, I'm not doing that again. And then you leave the next day at 5 and it comes at 5:15. You're like, what the hell's going on here? Highly unpredictable, But I think the main thing is kind of saturation, get the area that you're hunting, get as much information as you can on the area you're hunting, and then eventually, if you stay there long enough, if moss starts growing on you, then you might shoot something there.
Yeah,
but,
totally.
We did have a good elk season. One of the best I've had. I mean, we turned into chanterelle mushroom hunters this year because we had
so many good dinners at camp with just bags and bags of mushrooms, and
we had like a 5-star Michelin camp. Luke had brought some deer backstraps from last season, and we had chanterelle mushrooms, Caesar salad, deer backstrap. A guy next to us had some moose meat or something. I can't remember what he even was, but
I think was it. Yeah, I think it was moose.
We traded some meat for some mushrooms, and like every single day we had something good, and it was like on a plate, wilderness tasting. I mean, you're like, this is the life.
Yeah.
If you can't imagine having that type of food, we were sitting there, and all of a sudden I spot one gold chanterelle and walk over the hill, and there's like 70. So we turned into some mushroom hunting fools out there this year, and it was great, man. I can't complain at all about that season. It's probably one of the best memorable seasons in recent history.
Yeah, man. I mean, we haven't had a season that good since I shot my bull, really.
Yeah.
And even, I got to take that back because that season was terrible too. it was leading up to that point.
Yeah, it was bad until the point. But it was never bad. It was just a challenge, right? So even all things considered, when you're not seeing animals, you know that they're there, right? But there's a reason, and I can't remember if it was fire smoke that year. We had a lot of fires, or if it was just super hot. I know it was hot. Sure.
It was hot. I think
it was like 98 or plus every single day of that season.
I think the next years after that we had the fire issues until this year.
And it was rain.
Oh yeah.
But it's funny when you're hunting, you hear everybody like, "Oh, it's too hot. Oh, it's too much rain. Oh, it's too much smoke. Oh, it's too much." Like,
you know what?
The animals got to live.
Yeah, but you're not going to shoot them from the couch either. So either you're going to deal with the heat, deal with the smoke, deal with the rain, and go out there, put your big boy pants on, and start doing some hunting. Like, I don't care what's going on. You still got to be out there.
A couple of years ago, we would go at it hard in the beginning. We'd be out there super hard, and maybe like, you know what? We're going to get there about 8:30. After 4 days,
we're about to sleep in a little bit.
We're going to sleep. Yeah, let's take a little nap because it's a long day. You're 5 a.m. till 9 at night, and then you have to cook dinner and get ready and all that stuff. And so it's 11. and then it's 5, and then every day that wears you down. And so, you know, eventually we're like, we'll sleep in a little bit. Let's get up at 7 or 8 o'clock. You know, then the guys in the camp next to you, you come back that evening, they're over there with the elk up. You're like, what the?
What?
These guys, and they stick to it, and they keep that same pattern. They're going to get up every single day, and I don't care what camp you go to. There's always a group of guys in the camp. They're on such a routine when you know, because we hunt long. I mean, we hunt long. I think we may overhunt because people are back in camp in bed trying to be there earlier than we are, you know, and maybe that's just our area.
We're dark to dark. So we're leaving camp in the dark, getting to where we believe, you know, we're going to, you know, kick something up, and then we're not leaving until dark. And then we're getting back to camp super late.
Yeah.
And then we're cooking,
it's a lot of
telling our, you know, like what happened during the day, like where we should go for the next day. So, I mean,
it's a lot.
Yeah, I think we average 4.5 hours of sleep for, you know, week and a half or however long we're out, 2 weeks, you know,
it's a long trip, and then we come home and it's called vacation. So there you go.
Yeah, how was your vacation like? That was hell. What are you talking about?
Never been so tired in my life.
Doing 20 miles a day on foot? Like, that was not a vacation.
Yeah, it's a lot of hunting.
I'm out here just got my bow in my hand. I'm out here with the little thing, just sunbathing all day. Heck no.
Yeah. So the keeping your routine, I feel, is pretty important. Not keeping your routine, you know, eventually you're going to have some sort of thing that's going to break. But every time I feel like we change something, leave 15 minutes early, stay an hour late, sleep an hour later, you know, none of that seems to have really taken a huge toll. The day that you shot your bull, for instance,
we got out. Get out of camp until 3 o'clock.
I think it was like noon or something. I was
dying.
Well, you were sick. You were sick, and the you know, he ended up having to have a spleen. Was it spleen?
No, my gallbladder.
Gallbladder removed.
Yeah.
So he ended up having a surgery over his issue that he was having, and you know, he said, I don't feel too good. And this is a while on. You know, he had it going on for a while, and then you know, we said, okay, we'll just stay here, and then we'll go out. If we see something, we'll let you know, or whatever. We'll come back or whatever. So when I was
having a great time, you know, just cleaning up camp and watching movies, just chilling.
Yeah. So that particular day we did some spotting on the glass and ended up spotting some elk, and then you know, saw them heading to a patch of trees, which is up on this big clear cut. You know, they were kind of in the timber patch, and then you know, we're probably a mile from where they were at on this line of sight where we were looking at.
Where you were and where they were is probably about a mile.
Yeah. So we boogied back to camp, got Dave. You know, he was sitting on the couch when I literally sitting on the couch. Opened the trailer door and was like, Dave, we spotted some elk. He's like, okay. I was like, get your shit, let's go. You know, he drags out of there, and we had a plan. We kind of triangulated him, and he shot the bull. And you know, it was a good hunt. I mean, all things considered, you know, it was like what time we got out there? Dark. It was like an hour after dark.
Oh yeah, it was pretty dark. I was dragging my half through the.
Oh, it was rough. Dark. And then we ended up going down a little ridge and getting into that Devil Club. You know, it was in this little swamp creek drainage thing. We had to get it out of there down to the main road thing.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people realize. So I just posted a video from our 24 elk hunt, and there's a lot of people commenting from Arizona, and they're just like, "Holy crap! I didn't realize like that is very thick." And I'm like, yeah, there is no like point A to point B. You got to get from point A to point B, you got to add some more points into there. Like point B ends up being point Z.
Yeah.
Because you have to go around everything and then try to. There's no line of sight. Like you can see them up on a hillside, but it's like, okay, well, you're not going straight at them. Number one, because there's probably about a mile long of sticker bushes. So you have to either go.
And we laugh about that.
Bushwhack through it or go around, which now you're a mile away.
The hard part for me is if you're conscious of the wind and what they see and hear, and whatever terrain feature is going to steer you, is to try to keep that wind right while acknowledging the terrain and the distance you have to travel in order to get to that point. A lot of times,
so the thickness, to be honest with you, the thickness actually helps. It really does. Mm-hmm. Yes, you might have to navigate your way through all this garbage, but the thickness can help because they're also blind to that too. as to a certain point, and then all of a sudden, you know, that can change. But you can call your way in fairly close, as long as obviously wind and all these other variables are in your favor. But I mean, needless to say, it's still extremely hard hunt, but the thickness actually does help.
There is a point where you can use it as camouflage, right? And then there's a point where you feel like you're camouflaged and you're actually not.
Yeah,
and that's kind of like where I've seen it both ways. Where an elk kind of walking, I'm like, oh, there's an elk right there, because you see the sticks and then you see something moving behind him, and you're like, oh, that's very clearly an animal.
Yeah.
So you'd have to have like multiple layers in order to block you from that. But what I'm getting towards is that a lot of the things where you're going up and down these steeper ravines, you know, and you can't even see them when you're looking, but as you go, you're going like down. As you go down, it may be only 10 or 15 feet, but there's all sorts of blowdown that's rotten logs and devil's clubs and swamp water that's swampy dirt that's 6 to 10 inches deep, you know, so you're stepping in that, and it's noisy.
Yeah, deadfall. I mean, there's so much stuff. It's tough to get through. Like,
a lot of it you can't get through. You have to go around it.
Yeah, it makes it pretty difficult. So, I mean, for us here in the PNW, like, I would say, like, the west side of Washington and Oregon, I call it the jungle.
Yeah,
because it is.
Yeah, it's jungle-ish.
It's definitely like a jungle.
Yeah.
But it's great. It's great hunting.
Yeah.
It is.
Well, I like to think there's better places than here.
Well,
but it is a good hunt. I love that. I like hunting it.
Well, man,
I'm looking at your Arizona hunt going, damn, that's like paradise, man.
Arizona has been freaking fantastic. Dude, you have to go. You have to. Yeah, Arizona hunt, I'm a huge fan of. I think I'm going to try to go every single year, as long as my wife doesn't kill me. I'm going to try to go every year, because that is just, I'm getting closer and closer and closer every year. So last year, you know, made some stocks, kind of blew those out. This 25 tag, I was able to take a shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I missed. But, you know, I'm getting closer and closer to filling that tag. So I'm thinking the next time I come, I have some tricks up my sleeve that I think is going to frickin' work. And I'm going to tag on a nice muley down in Arizona. Yeah,
because looking at those photos, the area seems pretty dang nice as far as walkability.
Oh, dude, like you want to go over there? You can go straight over there. Like, you might have to, like, you know, go through a couple cactuses, you know, but I mean, it's like, I'm going to climb that mountain.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
You can.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even take very long.
Yeah.
Like, where I shot my bull that we kind of go to all the time, that could be 4 hours getting to the top, depending on which way you go, right? Like, this is like, you could be super far away and be like, man, I wish I could get to that mountain. Oh, you can.
Just walk straight
quickly. It's like no time at all. It's like, holy smokes, I'm on top of this mountain now, and it's been only like 22 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes for a lot of hiking. That 22-minute hike up a hill, and then you're like, oh, look at that hill. And you go there, and next thing you know, you're like, oh, look at that hill. And you start chasing hills, you know?
I did that the first year. I learned my lesson. So I usually get to a spot that's just, you know, nice up high, and I'm just watching my area. And I mean, it could be 5 miles of this area that I can just pin down and just start doing my gridding with my glass. And you just start picking them off. Like, there's a buck. There's a buck. That's a really big one. I'm going to go after that guy.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love hunting that desert type terrain. Ever since we went to Goldendale, you know, we started hunting down there.
Man. So it kind of reminds me of that type of hunt, except for the brush is smaller. So I would say, so the trees are maybe like 12 feet tall, the tallest.
Wow.
Yeah. So when you're glassing, when you're seeing bucks, so like when I was spotting bucks, like other than the first 2 days were terrible, but when I was actually spotting bucks, it was like during that like 10:30 to like 1 o'clock, because they're just bedded down. Mm-hmm. And you know, you're looking for an ear flicker or something like that, or like all of a sudden these antlers move and you're just like, Jesus criminy.
Yeah.
And I'm used to like, so our blacktail are kind of like basket, you know, kind of like
smaller,
basketed in. And I mean, 1 in every 20, you might see a monster, right? But like, I saw one small buck, 2 by 2. That at least this last trip. The first trip I saw a couple spikes, but other than that, I mean, everything was outside of its ears, freaking tall, just crazy.
Yeah, that's kind of when you. That's all right. That's right. I saw that on the thing too there.
Right.
But the thing about blacktail, they live in much denser areas. They're not genetically the same type deer, and they're not going to be a mule deer. You know, so you're looking for, you know, black-tailed deer is going to be looking different and shaped differently, and, you know, body-wise, not near as large as a mature mule deer. And so, I mean,
it's just crazy. This area, gosh, man, I really wish you were there. This area just has so many big bucks, and it's crazy because of like.
Well, let's tell everybody what area we're hunting. Just joking. No.
The whole state of Arizona. It just has mature bucks, man, and it's crazy. There's a reason why they're mature too. They're extremely hard to hunt. So when I was putting this stock on this buck, hopefully you guys will be able to see it here soon. I've been editing it. Maybe it might come out before this, but I put on this stock on this buck. I've actually talked about it before on a different episode. But the whole time I'm like at 120 yards, and the buck knows where I'm at. It's on me. Like everywhere I go, it's watching wherever I go. So I'm just like, crap, what do I do? So I'm trying to use these cactuses to work my way up, and it's just on me. So when I get to where I think I can make the shot at 60 something yards, 62 yards or something like that, when I fired, just because it's alert, and I've never had a deer like really be alert on me before, so I didn't really know how it was going to react, and it was a frontal shot. It matrixed my arrow like it was nothing, just
yeah.
I was like, I thought I hit it.
Yeah, and your bow's shooting fast too, so that's kind of a shocker.
Yeah, I'm drawing back 80 pounds, 500 grain arrow at almost like 290, which is pretty fast.
That's moving. Yeah.
You know, 500 grain arrow. But yeah, it matrixed that thing, and I'm thinking in my head like, yes, I nailed that thing, which you guys will not see because I turned my camera off. I go up to the arrow and it's like clean.
Yeah.
So I was just like, and I didn't. So I knocked another arrow anyways. And I could see the buck, and he was like in the other county. And I'm like looking like, oh my gosh, this guy's like 800 yards away. Like, I just missed a monster, like typical 4x. It was just a typical 4x4 muley, but I mean, for me, that's a monster.
Yeah,
like, that's what I'm out there for.
He's
like, that was
monster.
It's a freaking
what dreams are made of. Let's get the first one down.
Nice buck. So I was just like, son of a gun.
Yeah.
Because awesome. It was my last day.
Yeah.
Pretty much, I was looking at that as like my last stock, and yeah, man. So when I miss, right, I go back because I dropped my pack. I dropped my boots. Like I had no boots on. I'm stepping on everything pointy.
Yeah.
I get back to my pack and I'm like picking crap out of my feet, and I got my socks off. I'm picking the stuff out of my socks, and that 2x2 runs like right behind me.
Oh man.
He's like chasing after this doe, and his tongue's all.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where's my bow? Where's my bow? Like, crap! I got my in bare feet.
Yeah.
It's like, oh.
Going after him.
Yep.
That's funny.
But yeah, he ended up boogieing off. He was chasing a doe. It was like, I wish my camera was on because that buck's tongue was way out.
Yeah, couldn't catch up with her.
No, she was cooking.
That's funny, man. That's the crazy thing about those critters. Once they turn on, they're gonna have just a chase going. You know, it's like,
man,
when they start running around, you're gonna see them a lot. You know,
dude, that rut. So it actually would have been the week after I was there. It got really cold.
Yeah.
I guarantee those bucks were running around.
Could you hunt
crazy.
the week after you were there or no?
Yeah. Yep.
You trying to bump the dates or no?
Well, I couldn't, man.
No, next year.
No.
Bump it by 3 days?
No. Only because zones start closing down. So what they have
they tag out. Yeah.
Tag quotas. So
Gotcha.
So for 24 and into 25, the season actually starts like December 13th or something around there. Mm-hmm. That's when the quota starts over.
Yeah.
So once that gets filled, no matter what, even into 25, that zone will close. So
Gotcha.
I had
7 deer per unit 1, once they get to 7, it's over.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So the where I had my camp, where I was hunting the previous year and for 24, that zone closed down opening day of my 25 tag. So I had one day in the zone that I normally would hunt just for the one day. And then I was hunting a zone that I had never hunted before, but that's where I was seeing freaking monster bucks. And I was like, next year I might have to switch zones.
Yeah, it'd be maybe get there a little earlier, into that zone you were seeing them at.
Yeah, I was trying. So the plan was I was going to go there like the day or two after Christmas. But I'm not saying leave here earlier and get there earlier. What I'm saying is instead of hunting the zone that got shut down, just hunt the other zone first. Dude, probably get less pressure on it. I'm thinking so, because once that other zone closed, then you could tell like everybody moved to this other zone.
Yeah.
And I mean, so the first day I didn't really see very much, and I didn't actually talk about this before, but the first day I wasn't seeing much hunters, but then the second day it seemed like I was, glassing around. I'm seeing a hunter on every single ridge top.
Oh, wow.
And I'm just like, I'm going to go hunt these flats. And then that's when I started
You're kicking them off there or something?
I'm like, oh, there's a buck. Oh.
That's funny.
It was dude, I'm telling you right now, it's affordable. It's awesome. Kirk is the man.
Yeah, it's good to have Kirk there.
Yeah.
Hooking you up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I listened to the podcast episode. You talked about everything, and it sounded like a good time. And I would like to make it down there. First of the year is pretty good for me, actually. This year, I have a little more focus and intent on what we're doing with our regular structured life, and so there's several things I'd like to do, and then several things that I need to do to get that in place. Kind of pre-plan, and then it should be able to happen. So it is Super Bowl Sunday. We just watched the Chiefs get their butts smacked by the Philadelphia Eagles, and we are gonna what they call land the plane on this episode, because it is good to be back. Looking forward to giving you some good content and information along with some entertainment in 2025. This is going to be the year where you can help us. If you like our content, you appreciate what we're doing here, give us a like, give us a share us with your friends, and hopefully we can make this thing into more, because I enjoy what we're doing. We went to the Sportsman Show the last 3 years, and every single year we get increased interaction with people. People come up and tell us about things they like and all this other stuff, and it seems like there's more and more interaction with us in the crowd.
Man, it's kind of weird, to be honest with you. It's kind of weird. I will say that, because when people are asking like, oh man, can we have a photo with you, or blah blah blah, it's kind of like, I'm just David. I'm nobody. Like, why do you want a picture with me? But so the people that do that, it's awesome. It's just kind of just one of those things that it's just like, holy crap,
it's fun.
We're doing it, man.
And we're not doing it for a living. And we're not doing it for money. We're doing it because we love the outdoors, and we really enjoy interaction with people and sharing our experiences over the years. And for me, I was involved in several programs with the Washington State bow hunter education, archery, master hunter education or master hunter program, Washington State, just regular hunter's education, and I enjoy giving back. And so when people, if you see me on the streets, you probably won't see me on the streets, but if you see me, like when I say streets, I'm talking about on a dock or a pier, somewhere crabbing around the Puget Sound. If you see me, probably not in the woods, but anywhere out there, sport, if you see me out, just say hi. And, if you have any questions or whatever, I'd love to help you if I can. If I can't, then I'm not the guy to do that. And I don't know everything, but I do have some experience. And when it comes to crabbing and squid jigging, duck hunting, let's chat. I love it. And we try to do our best for you guys and make sure that you have something to look forward to. And maybe this sparks your planning for next year. Maybe it gets you excited about next year, but we have several things coming up, and we haven't touched on turkey season or anything like that.
No, not yet. But I've been saving it.
Yeah,
I've been saving.
Well, let's not go there yet. But turkey season's a month and a half away.
Yeah, man. I have Malachi. He's gonna be doing the youth hunt this year, so I'm super pumped for for this turkey season, and actually just this 25 season in general. My freezer is dang near empty, and everybody in my family's hunting this year.
Yeah.
Everybody. So I got my 12-year-old, my 17-year-old, my wife, and myself.
In about, I think, 2 months, we're going to get the bear rug back from Soph's Bear.
Oh, it's going to be awesome. Oh, that's going to be so awesome.
Yeah, it's not far off. So we're looking forward to getting that back. We utilized every single part of that bear. I even rendered the fat,
Man,
and that
and it looks
I used it to cook
great.
something the other day. What was I cooking? Breakfast, just eggs and hash browns, So it's like you can use it in so many different ways. And I made a point to render and use as much as I could off that animal. Dave and we did a bang up job skinning it out, tucking and turning the lips and everything, and got it all perfect. It was like literally the most perfect skinning job you'd ever see. And there's not a cut in that hide. And it is pretty much fat free when we got it there. And then we used the fat and we boned it out. I hung it, boned it out, and everything worked out really good. I don't know what that was, but hey,
Super Bowl Sunday, man.
That's a modern duck call. So Super Bowl Sunday, we just got done watching the game and we're ready to cut this thing off. So
yeah.
Appreciate you guys watching. Check us out on Ridgeline Hunting Outdoors, or Ridgeline Hunting Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
Yeah, check us out. All right, everybody. Catch you on the next one.